Hello everyone, welcome to another challenge video. Special thanks to all my lovely patrons, you are keeping this channel going. Genji, are you listening? Startling, Genji raised his head from where he was apparently staring at an empty table, looking around in confusion to remind his brain where he was. Yeah? Sorry, I guess I spaced out a bit. What were you saying? He hated the look of deep concern Aona gave him from the other end of the table. Hated worrying Aona for a little to no reason. But since he accepted the challenge, he couldn't stop thinking about it and the potential consequences of it. The pure anger seeping from Aona after he did the hurt prank was still firmly engraved into his mind, and he definitely didn't want to be on the receiving end again. And yet he agreed to a challenge that could bring him exactly that, and perhaps even worse. Not that he thought Aona would ever hurt him physically. He couldn't imagine his partner ever raising his hand against someone else. Unless the other deserves it, I guess. He shivered, shaking his head in despair to chase away the mental images his mind supplied him with. The remnants of his recent nightmares were scary enough to see them once. He didn't need to be reminded of them during the day, too. It's just nightmares. It's not real. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't. He no less than jumped when a heavy hand fell on his shoulder, a surprised yelp already resting on his tongue. The deep crease on Aona's forehead deepened even more, and Kenji's mouth dried out. Sorry, I spaced out again, didn't I? He was already opening his mouth for a long line of apologies when Aona's face suddenly softened. All words died off on Kenji's tongue as Aona's warm hand cupped his cheek, much more pleasant shivers running through his skin. Nabu? What's wrong, love? Nothing, really. I'm just tired, I guess. But you don't have to worry about it. I'm fine, I swear. Kneeling down, Aona took Kenji's hands in his, giving them a gentle squeeze. The position reminded Kenji of the day Aona proposed to him all those months ago and sent another sharp jab through his chest. What reason would Aona have to not punish him for doing the same challenge again? He hung his head low, gritting his teeth to stop the quivering of his lower lip. It's just a nightmare. He wouldn't do something like that. It's not like that. He wouldn't do it. I don't want you to get mad at me again. He couldn't see, but could definitely feel Aona furrowing his brow. The ever so gentle fingers still closed around his hands started to caress small circles into his skin, and Kenji wished for nothing else than to just hold onto his beloved's hands forever. Kenji, we talked about this. I know we did, but this is different. I I know I shouldn't be accepting challenges like this, especially after the last time, but I still did, but now I'm worried you might get angry again, and he quickly closed his mouth shut, refusing to say it out loud. It would make it too real, a real possibility. What challenge? Kenji bit hard on his lip, hesitating for a long moment before speaking up, still looking anywhere but Aone. Pretend to faint. Silence too long for Kenji's comfort settled around them. Kenji. I know, I'm stupid for accepting that. I wouldn't do it in the end, I swear. I don't I don't want to repeat that. He squealed when Aone suddenly pulled him down and to his chest, wrapping his arms around him. The initial shock quickly subsided, and he sagged into the embrace, letting the warmth seep into his body. Neither of them said anything for a long while, but to Kenji, the hug was as telling as thousands of words. Don't worry about that anymore. I'm not mad at you. Is that why you were so out of it? Kenji sighed, half prepared for Aona to pull away. Partially, I guess. I I am really tired today. The low hum resonating through Aona's chest vibrated through his skin before Aona pulled away for real, but immediately took Kenji's face in his palms. Bad? It took Kenji several seconds to realize what Aona meant by that. Another example of just how out of it he really was that day. That's not necessary. I can hold until evening. There's no need. You said you are tired. Well, yeah, but I can't leave everything to you to do. You said you want to work on the garden today, right? I'll help you. It's no trouble. And risk injuring yourself for real? Kenji opened his mouth to protest, but the serious expression on Aone's face stopped him. Besides, deep down, he knew Aone was right. He was clumsy as it was. Who knows how bad it would be when he was tired. Alright then. Aone nodded and got up, holding his hand to Kenji to catch on before motioning to the stairs. Careful. Kenji smiled, though he wasn't sure if it was as convincing as he wished since his head spun lightly, throwing him off balance. Of course. However, he only made a few steps up the stairs when he wavered. His head suddenly became light, his vision brightening sharply before dimming and blackening completely. He gripped the railing, panic rising in his chest. Nobu, come here, please. His own voice sounded hollow to his ears, same as the fast, heavy footsteps behind his back. What's wrong? Kenji let out a shuddered breath when the familiar hands supported him. I don't know. I can't see. What? I can't see. Anything. It's just black. I swear I'm not lying this time. I really... The ground swayed under his feet, and he felt himself falling. His mind blanked out for a split second, the arms wrapped firmly around him and the feeling of the railing digging into his side snapping him back. But there was still a complete darkness in front of his eyes. Can you stand? Yeah, but... Hey, shh, it's alright. Don't spook. In the next moment, Kenji felt himself getting picked up and carried down the stairs before Aona carefully laid him down on the floor. A gentle hand caressed his cheek. Stay like this. I'm calling the ambulance. His throat too tight to answer verbally, Kenji gave a short note of affirmation. The humming in his ears slowly turned into one long, high-pitched beep, the panic swirling in his chest intensifying with every passing second until he felt Aona's hands squeezing his own again. The same exact thought kept bouncing around Yahaba's head the whole day, his mind unable to let it go. While he agreed that Kyotane's reaction to the given challenge could be interesting, and there was a high chance he would get some much-needed attention from it, his very core was squirming with the thought that he would do something like the hurt prank again. Not only because he still had all the memories from the dark alley fresh in his mind, but he couldn't bring himself to make Kyotane worried for nothing after he did so much for him. Besides, they had just before their wedding. The last thing he wanted was to mess something up. And so he kept mindlessly scrolling through a list of restaurants and venues where the wedding could eventually take place, trying to get his mind off the challenge at hand. But the fact he had to search for a small venue because of his still very present fear of large gatherings didn't make it any easier to forget. He sighed and hung his head, raking his fingers through his hair in despair. Damn this all. He jumped when a large warm body nudged his side, but then just smiled and scratched Bruno between his ears, earning a content huff. You really read my mind, don't you? Always around when I need you the most. Ken was right that you would be the best guardian ever. Bruno barked quietly as if in agreement and laid his head on Yahaba's thighs, closing his eyes when Yahaba resumed his scratches. Yeah, I know. I shouldn't be so worried about some challenge, right? I can just not do it after all. It's not like anyone was forcing us into it. Terushima was pretty chill about it, so what's the big deal, right? Bruno huffed again, making Yahaba smile. Right. All's fine. Nothing to worry about. He returned to browsing the venues, making a mental list of places he liked so they could go through them with Kyotane together later. It was one of the more entertaining parts of wedding planning, with little to no stress attached. Yahaba was worried it was going to change soon, but Kyotane always reassured him that there was nothing he would have to stress about. Nothing they couldn't do together. That thought made Yahaba's smile grow fond, and himself feel like he was 17 again, falling in love with the wild spiker all over again. Not that he complained. He rejoiced when Bruno suddenly raised his head and started to wag his tail, and sure enough, about 2 seconds later, he heard the main door closing. He didn't even get to call a greeting when Bruno shot from the couch and trotted excitedly towards the hallway. You little traitor. Soft laughter reached his ears. I told you I'm the favorite. You aren't. It's only because you just came home, nothing more to it. He crossed his arms over his chest, refusing to get up or even look over his shoulder despite hearing Kyotane's footsteps getting closer. I think if that was the case, you wouldn't be pouting about it. Really? Don't talk to me, you are both traitors. Using my vulnerability to get behind my back. Unbelievable. He squealed when the strong arms wrapped around him from behind, squirming as the short stubble on Kyotane's chin scratched the exposed skin of his neck. What do you think you are doing, mister? The soft rumble of Kyotane's laugh sent shivers through his body. Holding you hostage until you forgive me. Never. All right then, as you wish. He moved his head, scratching more of Yohaba's skin. Ow, ow, ow! Okay, fine, I forgive you. Just stop. This is so not fair. A tender kiss landed on the assaulted place under his ear. Don't be grumpy now. I have something for you. Yahaba paused, trying his hardest to suppress the curiosity suddenly bubbling in his chest. Though judging by the quiet snicker by his ear, it wasn't successful. And what would that be? Take a look. He laid a small flat box on Yahaba's palm. He then removed a strand of hair from Yahaba's forehead and kissed his temple before snuggling to him again. It's the one you liked so much. Yahaba's heart jumped when he opened the box, finding a beautiful butterfly-shaped brooch he had been eyeing for over a month now, but never actually managed to convince himself to buy it. He opened and closed his mouth a few times, unable to form a coherent thought for a while. And that... You noticed? Of course I noticed. And since you couldn't get yourself to buy it, I thought I could give it to you as a pre-wedding gift. Ehaba really wanted to cry. He squeezed the brooch in his hand, too overwhelmed to speak. Just a few years ago, he would feel embarrassed about getting so emotional over a gift. But the years spent by Kyotane's side told him he didn't have to worry about that anymore. I'm glad you like it. I do. I love it. And I love you too. Kyotane smiled. Then come here and tell me again. That wasn't needed to be said twice to Yahaba. He contemplated jumping over the back of the couch, but then decided for a safer route around. And yet, in his rush, he yelped almost immediately when he stumbled over one of Bruno's toys. Kyotane was by him in a flash, catching him just as he was about to hit the glass coffee table. Careful. Yahaba let out a tense breath, pretty sure he didn't imagine the strain etched in Kyotane's voice. Yeah, thank you. He regained his footing, but even after that, Kyotane didn't let go of him. On the contrary, he only pulled him closer, tightening the grip around him. Seriously, be careful. Please. I could already see the glass going through your arm. Seems like this is good enough. No need to do the challenge now. I will, I promise. He returned to the embrace, letting himself melt in the safety of Kyotane's arms. Thank you, my knight. A feeling of something being horribly, horribly wrong settled on Hayato's mind. It wasn't something he imagined when people talked about the feeling of impending doom or something like that, but it was enough to make him nervous. Not even counting the whole fainting challenge, which he still didn't finish on planning out since his mind was occupied by much bigger concern now. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something bad was going to happen. If he at least knew what it was about. He glanced at the clock again, biting his lip in worry. 2 more hours. The fact was, he could deal with uncertain fate when it came to himself. If it was his subconsciousness warning him about the challenge, fine. If it was a warning for something that was about to happen to him, fine. He could tackle that. But knowing that Taichi could be in danger from whatever his feeling tried to warn him about while not being able to call him to make sure he was alright was the worst form of torture he knew. He was very close to giving in the urge to just get his phone and call his fiancée regardless, but the last thing he wanted was to get Taichi in trouble at work because of his baseless worry. Stupid work and his stupid boss. What if there was an emergency? And so he continued to pace back and forth between the living room and the kitchen, trying to find something to occupy his brain with for the next few hours before he could finally reach Taichi and hopefully chase the cloud away from his mind. But the longer he waited, the more nervous he became, and knowing Taichi was still having trouble sleeping recently definitely didn't help. Fuck it. Unable to stand the invisible pressure any longer, he grabbed his wallet and keys and rushed from the apartment complex towards Taichi's workplace. A fleeting thought that he might be going right into the arms of misfortune entered his mind, but he quickly chased it away. Doesn't matter, Tai's more important now. It only took him about 10 minutes to reach the familiar house. He took the stairs by two, glad there weren't many people in the entrance that evening. He carefully made his way to the bar, already looking around for Taichi's tall form. Damn it, where is he? He should be here. He couldn't have gone home already, could he? Despair bubbled in his chest more and more with every passing second, the various horror scenarios flooding his mind. Hi, aren't you Yamagata? Hayato flinched and swirled around after the unknown voice. Who's asking? The man raised his hands in defense, and only now did Hayato recognize the bartender uniform he wore. Sorry, I'm Sato, Kawanishi's co-worker. We were just about to call you, but I saw you coming here, so I thought I would get you faster. Something about the man's words turned Hayato's blood into ice. What's wrong with Tai? Where is he? We don't know. He said he wasn't feeling well, and so we had him rest until you would come for him. The ground swayed under Hayato's feet. The worst-case scenario immediately flashed in front of his eyes, sending cold shivers down his spine. Take me to him, quickly. Sure. Is something... No time! Take me to him, please! Sato clapped his mouth shut and nodded, motioning for Hayato to follow him. Please be alright, please be alright. He no less than barged through the door to a small back room where apparently the alcohol was stored, his eyes immediately fixing on a familiar figure sitting on one of the crates, leaning on the wall with his eyes closed. He rushed to Taichi's side, with horror taking note of how sickly pale and cold his skin was when he took his face in his palms. Tai, come on, wake up. You can't sleep here. Some of the tension dropped from his shoulders when Taichi's eyes fluttered open, taking a bit to focus on him. Aya? What are you? I thought they were about to call you a moment ago. I came on my own. Had a bad feeling. What's wrong? What hurts? Taichi shook his head weakly. Unconvinced, Hayato let Taichi rest his head against the wall again and carefully pulled up his sleeves. His breath hitched in his throat when he spotted the large black bruise already forming on his forearm, his stomach rolling upon noticing how badly his elbows were swollen. You are bleeding again. I am? Yes! Why did you go to work instead of hospital? Why didn't you tell me again? I begged you to tell me when it happens, and you still never tell me anything. I didn't know. I swear. How? How can you not know about this? Taichi's eyes glossed over, the sight sending a sharp jab of guilt through Hayato's heart. I swear I was fine. It was fine before I went here. Taichi, please trust me. I'm not lying to you, I swear. The sheer despair in Taichi's voice broke Hayato's heart. He took a deep breath to steady himself before giving Taichi's hand a very light squeeze. Alright, we can talk about everything when you get better, okay? Now we have to get you to hospital, ASAP. Should we call ambulance? Yes, please do. He gently tugged on Taichi's hand, positioning himself to his side for support. Do you think you will manage to walk outside? I think. A pained whimper escaped Taichi's mouth as he stood up, telling Hayato just how bad his joints had to hurt. Worried he might cause him more pain, he let Taichi lean on him as much as he needed, while keeping only light grip around his side. It's okay. It will be over soon, I promise. Just a few more steps and... The rest of the words died off on his tongue, when a sharp knock followed by a tormented cry pierced his ears, rattling with his core. Taichi! He desperately tried to prevent Taichi from falling when he suddenly went limp in his arms, dread pulling in his stomach. Fuck. Tell them to hurry up and that he's hemophiliac. Sato nodded and quickly passed on his words, while Hayato set Taichi back on the crate, his heart almost stopping before he managed to find his pulse. Weak, but it was there. With his hands trembling, Hayato continued to monitor Taichi's breathing, while also trying to keep himself from either crying or screaming, though perhaps from both, until they finally heard the siren. 2 excruciating hours later, he sat in a darkened hospital room, the only sound interrupting the silence being the occasional beep of a monitor from the drip. His hands were still shaking, not even the reassurance of the doctor being enough to calm him down. They told him Taichi's unconsciousness was only a shutdown response of his brain on immense pain when he accidentally knocked into something, but the only thing he could think about was that Taichi still hadn't woken up and was in enough pain to knock himself unconscious. He sat by the bed without moving since they allowed him inside, holding Taichi's hand, too afraid to let go, and only talking quietly in hopes it could wake Taichi up. You know, we should really stop with the hospital trips. Next time we are going on a normal trip, okay? I don't know, maybe to my parents. There's always something to do around there. I'd take you to the mountains, but that probably wouldn't be good for your blood pressure, right? So maybe some forest? Or a lake. That could be nice. He sighed heavily, bringing Taichi's hand to his lips. Jeez, I don't envy you that you had to sit like this by my bed back then. Had to be horrible, huh? And yet you still feel guilty about that, after everything you've done for me since. Sniffing, he turned away to wipe his eyes, refusing to lose his composure like that. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. I'll take care of you for change now, I promise. Just wake up. Please. Come back to me. As if hearing his words, Taichi's fingers twitched a bit in his hold. Hayato held his breath, his heart speeding up when Taichi's eyelashes fluttered, and then his eyes slowly opened for real. Too overwhelmed to speak at first, he pressed another kiss on Taichi's fingers, unable to keep the relieved smile off his face. Welcome back, dear. Taichi blinked a few times, taking a while to look around before his eyes returned to Hayato. What happened? You were bleeding again, remember? And then you hurt yourself so much you passed out. Taichi's face scrunched in pain. Bleeding. I swear I didn't know. Please, you have to believe me. I wasn't keeping anything from you. Shh. It's alright. Don't exhaust yourself, okay? Deep breaths. But, shh. I'm not mad at you. I promise. And I believe you. Don't worry about it now, okay? You need to focus on getting better. He ran his fingers through Taichi's soft auburn hair and left his hand laid against his cheek. Just rest now, okay? I don't need another scare like that this soon. Sorry. It's fine. Wasn't your fault, so no blaming yourself, okay? He clasped Taichi's hand in his, holding back with all his willpower not to squeeze too much. Everything will be fine. I promise. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any requests or ideas, feel free to write them under the pinned comment. See you next time.